oh yeah, this is definitely why you're the weaker sex, or this is why you can't perform at work, or this is why the guy got the promotion over you. Absolutely not. I feel like we women, we're so complex and we have so much to offer. The strong woman narrative has kept us captive, really, in not even being able to ask for help. And welcome to another episode of OMG, another podcast. How are you? How have you been? I've been well. I've been feeling good. I've actually, well, I keep on saying, I'm tired, but I'm grateful, and I'm grateful that I'm here. But today, the reason this episode is so important is we're going to be unpacking the effects of stress, especially on women's bodies. I feel like I have touched on this in previous episodes one way or another, but today it's going to be like we're going to be honing in on this. What happened was a friend of mine, we were having a conversation with her, and what happened was she came to me and she wanted to open up because she was going through her own reproductive health journey and challenges. And she told me how she had been diagnosed, unfortunately, with fibroids, and she had just come from surgery. So she was just opening up and telling me about it. And we started talking. And so we went into talking, and, she was telling me what she was going through. Obviously, her work and also life currently is very stressful. And I was sympathizing with her. And then it clicked at that moment for me. I realized one of my personal triggers, especially, and if you're new here, one of my triggers, because I was diagnosed with endometriosis and what makes me flare up and not be well, is stress. That's right. Stress is so bad. High cortisol levels in a woman's body really destroys it. So we got to talking, and obviously our phones listen in on us, the social listening. And I got to watch this TikTok video. I'll make sure that we link it when this episode comes up, of this woman who literally had like a 3-part series, and I think that's what she deals with on TikTok on wellness and especially women's wellness. And she listed a whole list of diseases that have been linked with stress, especially on women's bodies. Actually, I want to read that list. And I was shocked and I was like, of course, this makes so much sense. And, I was just talking to the team here in studio, and I was saying, actually, every time I've been very stressed, like really, really not in a good place, is when my health has really taken a dip and I've gone for surgery. So it was crazy. So, disease number 1, psoriasis. The association where you don't even know if you're here or not. Things are happening and you're trying to remember what's happening and you cannot. Rheumatoid arthritis, guys, because of stress. PCOS, of course. Endometriosis, of course. Fibroids. And just to say, this is why when I did, and please go back and watch it, when I talked about endometriosis, I said it's not a reproductive health issue. It's an autoimmune disease. It's a holistic, it's a whole body disease. Alopecia, women losing their hair. Insomnia, that's a disease where you can't sleep. IBS, your stomach is unsettled and you have so much acid. Chronic fatigue, chronic migraines, epilepsy, adenomyosis, shingles, fibromyalgia, like the list goes on. And this is part 2. This is why I really caught on to that conversation. And that's why I just want to talk about it. Stress doesn't just make us women cranky. It really literally rewires the chemicals and especially the hormones in our body to the point of breakdown. And I was like, yeah, we need to talk about it. We need to unpack it, because there's this notion that women are just complaining for the sake of that, and especially Black women. Obviously, we have seen the studies that show that when a Black woman does go into hospital, she's not taken seriously the first time, and there is an assumption that like our threshold, especially as a Black woman, is higher than for, maybe, for example, a Caucasian lady. And these are the reasons why, especially, there isn't much research or knowledge, especially into how all these diseases affect us individually. Some of the medication that works for us as Black women, or rather medication that has worked for other races, does not work for us as Black women because we are just different. And for me, that cortisol overload on your body is what makes it break down. And it can show up in different ways. For me, personally, it shows up as acne or flare ups on my face, especially. It can show up in so many different ways. For some people, you get a puffy face, a moon face. I believe that's what people call it. That's a sign of stress. That's a sign of your body telling you, SOS, things are not great here. SOS, we need to rest. And it's because of so many things that we're carrying as women. Hair loss, for example, that is alopecia. That's also another way that stress shows up in your body. For example, irregular cycles, especially for your menstrual cycle, weight gain. Today you are X kgs, the next you're this other kgs, and you can't even explain it. That's because of stress. Your body cannot even digest food properly. Those are some, and we take it so, oh, it's kawaida. Yeah, I'm just going through a stressful season. Oh yeah, it's stress. No wonder I've gained weight. Oh yeah, it's stress. No wonder XYZ. No, that's not normal. That's your body speaking to you. And I think as women, that's why I was so passionate about this even during the endometriosis episode. And I said we need to take listening to our bodies seriously. We need to take it as gospel truth. We need to start listening in and not being filled with the thing of always grinding, all that, that grinding culture. We need to take time to really take care of ourselves. So, I was just wondering, as women, how did we get here? So, how did we get to the place where, if you think about it, there's probably a couple of women, if not all women in your life, who have been affected by stress in a negative manner to the point of, even, for example, if it's their mental health or their sleep through insomnia. How did we get here? My guess, my observation is also the emotional and mental load we carry in our lives. We are the ones who are carrying everything around us. If you're married, if you're a woman, you're the one who's, thinking about how you're running the household. You're thinking about the shopping, what is not there. So you're the primary parent, as people, like to put it, because, obviously, especially when your children are a certain age, you are their primary caregiver because of your nurturing capability. There's just so many expectations put on women. Our menstrual cycle also is not, it keeps us in different phases. And therefore, my thing is, we're expected at the end of the day to hustle and to be at par with men because obviously the world is very unforgiving. That was heavy for me to come to a realization. Like, I always knew it, and I was thinking, okay, so how do we run away from the fact that stress is eating up our bodies as women, one way or another, whether you realize it or not, and you have to be very serious and snap back into taking care of yourself. And there's no other way other than asking for help, trying to balance it out within your life, one way or another, making sure that you're not the person who is carrying the load around you with your people, your family, your friendships, all those things, that you're not just the one carrying, that we need to share our loads, whether it's with our partners, whether it's our friends, whether it's with our community, and not feel like, the superwoman title, we can figure it out all by ourselves. And it's okay to rest. And this goes back to the episode again. Please go and watch it on rest and the different types of rest that we need as human beings, but especially for me as women, because I've seen what stress does to your body. Again, like I've said, personal story. Whenever I'm really, really not well, it's always tied back to stress. And that's why, for example, I've struggled with endometriosis. I remember actually my gynecologist telling me, Mokami, I can give you all the medicine in the world, but if you don't get yourself out of that job that I was doing then, you're never necessarily going to be better. If you don't, take your stress levels down, your cortisol levels down, you are not going to be okay. And it's just such a negative effect on our nervous system. So some of those examples is like, for example, the fight, flight, freeze mode, and how much we have normalized it. So whenever something happens to a human being, whether it's a challenge, a problem, a stressful situation, so our bodies naturally, and also just depending on your experiences growing up. You will either fight, you're always the one who is coming up with solutions, you're the one who is always brainstorming ways to make something better, you're the one who is always making sure that everything is okay. Then there's flight, those people who avoid and put their heads in the sand and they don't want to think about it because it's just too much to think about and they're going to be overwhelmed. And then there's freeze, where you're numb. It's almost like you can't think and you can't do anything about it and you can't even process your emotions. All those, especially all those reactions taken to an extreme, make it difficult for you to be able to process your emotions in a healthy manner. And it does show up over time. And it's also been shown that stress over time also leads to dementia, for example, in old age. It's because it's like your brain breaks because of carrying so much thinking, processing, stress, and not having a place of release. And that's why I'm just so big on we need to take care of ourselves, ladies. This is such an important topic to me. Hearing my friend come to me telling me what she's been through, work being crazy. Her personal life is also a bit difficult right now. They're going through some challenges as a family. And that just took a hit on her body. And she was telling me when she started this new job, she was actually hospitalized within the first month because of burnout and stress. And I don't know where the middle ground is because we're trying to handle so much. You're trying to be obviously successful. You want to go after your dreams. You want to do well in your career, but there's something's gotta give. Something's gotta give. This is like almost like an SOS to all of us. Stress doesn't do well for our bodies as women. We don't process stress the same way as a man. And I'm not even trying to compare at this point. It's just telling you that listen to your body, listen to those cues. They're the ones that are going to tell you if you're doing well or not. And another thing that I've realized and how stress affects us is it affects our immunity. So there was this time I was not feeling well, went to the doctor again. I'm very big, by the way. I don't really like taking over the counter drugs. So whenever I'm feeling iffy, I always go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor and they asked me, actually, how often do you get some sun? And I said, well, most of the time I work from home. So, and also I do home workouts. And then I was like, actually, unless I decide to go and do my steps outside, I really don't. Like, it can go days without necessarily like seeing the sun. And she said, I believe that's why your immunity is low. You need vitamin D. You need to be out in the sun. So as she was prescribing medicine for me to get better, one of the things that she told me was sit out in the sun. Like I was literally given a prescription, be in the sun at 10 a.m., before 10, and then go at 4 p.m. when the sun is about to go down and it's not that harsh, but it's also like, a bit potent enough for it to get into your skin. And I was like, what? And she was like, yes. So, stress can also make your immunity be compromised. And then now you're going to be susceptible to other illnesses, infections, not just even a cold and flu, just infections on your body in whatever way that they decide to manifest. A flu will take longer to heal. You're now taking antibiotics for something that you would have just managed your stress, get some sun, and you're good. So for us, when we talk about, especially on the internet, there's a lot of information and advice, especially on for us as women, about taking that walk, doing breath work, doing this and this to take care of yourself. It's not just for fun. I have seen it firsthand and why it's important. So again, this is an SOS. Another angle. Ija is just looking at me like, yes, girl. Let me tell you, another thing is the strong woman narrative that you can, you're a strong woman. I really used to, by the way, really love that. I used to love that thing. Like, yeah, I'm strong, I'm capable. Because to me, it meant I'm strong, I'm capable, I'm smart, I'm efficient, I have a capability, and I'm not like this damsel in distress. However, I feel like it's been corrupted to a place that it's not, we can't even, I can't recognize it anymore. And therefore, that means it's almost like when you ask for help or when you mention your limitations, it's taken as if, oh yeah, this is definitely why you're the weaker sex. Or this is why you can't perform at work. Or this is why the guy got the promotion over you. Absolutely not. I feel like we women, we're so complex and we have so much to offer. And the strong woman narrative has kept us captive, really, in not even being able to ask for help and be able to say, like, these are my limitations, because we have some now. And even right now, actually, genuinely, I've known mine. There are some environments I can't work in or for because I know it's past my physical body capability and I will literally fall into stress and get ill. One of the things, like where I'm working and where I live, cannot be too far because that daily commute, and you know how crazy traffic is in Nairobi, that traffic, sitting in hours in traffic every day, I can't do that anymore, for example. So that distance needs to make sense. So small things like that are not small, that for me clicked in my mind, and I realized that it is actually taking away from my mental health. That was a big discovery for me, and just that strong woman narrative. Another thing, how our frustration is described as mood swings, or she's just emotional. And again, it's taken in bad context, and then you're villainized for it. Oh yeah, she's just a woman. Oh, in fact, there was this one time, someone, I was so offended. Someone around me, I think there was a lady who was taking an order, and the lady was not very nice. She was rude, etc. And that person said, and it was a man. That person said, "Oh, she must be on her period or something." The fact that our emotions are minimized to just having your period, we need to do better. We need to do better as a society and also as women, and not villainize women for understanding our limits and truly understanding how complex and how wide our emotions range. And yes, sometimes our emotions are affected by our cycles because it's tough. You try it, especially if you're a man, where one week you're feeling this way, the other week you're energized, the other week you're in a slump. It's not easy, and we're just trying to survive. And it's some of those things are very hard for you to pick up on. And the invisible stress, like caretaking, if you've ever taken care of someone who is unwell in your family, you will understand what this looks like. And managing people in your life, especially if you're like the first daughter. And so, one thing that we'll talk about in another episode, the first daughter syndrome, especially in an African household, and what that means, just managing everyone else. So this was a very important for me to say again. It was like an SOS, also just a reminder for me, especially when I'm in a place where I feel like, no, I need to push just a bit more. I need to go that extra mile, and just always remember that no, I actually need to take care of my body. Otherwise, it will always push back. And for me, I've seen that. I've said every time I've had a very bad flare up, and the endometriosis has come back aggressively, is when I'm really stressed. And so I just want to remind you, like, that list, and there's so much more, and we're going to continue unpacking this, is that it does come up in different ways. Even the thyroid problem comes from stress. So some some of the ways that we can manage this is obviously through rest, and we've spoken about the different types of rest we can have. Sleep hygiene, making sure that you stay away from your phone a couple of hours or even some minutes before you go into bed. Sleeping on time, waking up on time. Balanced routines, making sure you're eating a balanced diet. Some breath work, prayer if you're also someone who believes in prayer, journaling, and also therapy. And I just want to say, it's okay not to carry everything, and it's okay to understand your limits of your body, and it's okay to also let the people around you know that these are my limitations. So the effects of stress on women's bodies are critical and they're dire. And when I saw the science around that, my mind was blown. So just a reminder for us to take care of ourselves, to do better, not let stress take over our lives. Please let me know in the comment section how you have experienced stress, what stress has done for you. like some tips, additional tips that you have, especially on how you can manage stress and take care of ourselves, and what more we can do about it. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for always engaging with us on OMG Another Podcast. A big shout out to obviously my production team, who is Harvey Studios. Love you guys so much. Thank you for always following us. Make sure you follow us on all our social media pages. That is on OMG Another Podcast. We are available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Catch you on the next one. Make sure you take care of yourselves and no stress.